Hi, it's Mr. Burton here. Today we're going to go through lesson 3 in the Explorations book. It's on page 12. It's all about key signatures. Why have key signatures? Well, if you want to play a major scale starting on any note on the keyboard, then you need a key signature depending on which note you start on. For example, if you start on C, you need no sharps, no flats. If you start on B flat, you need 2 flats, and if you start on D, you need 2 sharps. And we'll go through how you discover those things. But first, let's have a look at the overall thing, which is these two, all the sharps and all the flats. It has a certain order, and over the years, we've invented different phrases, and the one I'm going to use, because it sort of works well with both sharps and flats, is Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. And if you look at it, it goes Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. The reason why I like it is if you go over to the flats, it goes blanket exploded and Dad got cold feet. So the phrases work nicely together. If you look at the pattern, I can tell you that the sharps go up. Every second sharp goes one step up until we have to jump down because we run out of lines. And every second flat goes one step down. So you can see those lines going down like that. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, and in bass clef, I'm sure you remember from previous, the bass clef is an old F. Sort of looks like that, which is nothing like what we have now, but that's life. And the treble clef is an old-fashioned G. I'm sure you can see the resemblance. Okay, and the first sharp, F sharp, starts on the top line in the treble clef, and the second top line, which is the F line, in the bass clef. Okay, so the order of sharps to right to left, already we've talked about it, but Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. I prefer to put the sharps in. So F sharp, C sharp, and so on, because it gets you used to writing the sharps. And the order of flats is blanket exploded and Dad got cold feet. So B flat and E flat, and you continue the rest. Okay, and we've already talked about that explore section. Look carefully at the letters above. What do you notice about the order of sharps versus the order of flats? Well, the sharps go up, the flats go down. And also it forms the saying. You can say what you like about that. Write the sharps in order 3 times. Well, try look, cover, write, check, where we go Father Christmas gave Dad an electric blanket. So we go Father Chris. Oh, sorry about my writing, but I'm trying to write on the screen here. Christmas. Just be careful. That's horrendous. But when you do it, just make sure that if it's on a line, you go on both sides of the line like that. And if it's in a space, you go both sides of a space. And same with down here, Father Christmas, and so on. You finish that 3 times just for practice, and because that's what it tells you to do. Write the flats in order. If you remember, the flats was blanket exploded and Dad got cold feet. So we start with blanket exploded and Dad got cold feet. And in bass clef, the B starts here. Blanket exploded and Dad got cold, and the last space is where you put the last flat. Okay, so you do that 3 times. Moving along. Moving on to the second page, there's a series of questions on page 13. From what you know about intervals and observing the patterns you have just written, answer the following. The pattern of writing flats begins on B. The next flat E is located up A. Okay, now to find that out, we have to go to the top where they have the order of flats. Now, when you're counting flats, remember, or when you're counting notes, remember that you start on the note that they speak of and then count up from there. It's a bit different from semitones where you count the number of steps. This is the order, or from one flat to the next. So it's starting on B flat 1, then 2 to C, 3 to D, and 4 to E flat. So it's upper fourth. So if we just put in here is upper fourth. The next flat is located down A. Well, I'll let you do that. See if you can work out how many steps down. Remembering you start on the note they tell you. So start on the A flat and then work your way down. The next flat would be from E flat, blanket exploded, and down to A flat. So see how many steps you get. And the same thing is the pattern for writing sharps begun on F. The next sharp C is located down A. You do the same thing, see how many you get. And then why does the sharp pattern change with the A sharp? Let's have a look up here. So when we go Father Christmas gave Dad, we're going up a step and up a step. Now the next one would be A up here, but we can't do a sharp above the stave. So what we have to do is we have to jump down to the next A, which is in the second space. That doesn't happen for flat keys because there's enough of a space to go all the way down in parallel. Okay, going back to there. Whoops. So the pattern of writing, why does the sharp pattern change with the A sharp? Because otherwise you'd have to write a stave line. Practice writing sharp keys. I'm sure you can do that. So you start with 2, and then 3 would be, let's do it in bass clef. Father Christmas gave, and so on. Flat keys, same thing. We'll do it in bass clef again. Blanket exploded, and then you do 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, and 7 flats. Circle the last sharp written in each key signature in number 4. So the last sharp for the first one is F sharp. So we go down and then write the letter name of the note that is a half step above this sharp. So a semitonal half step above F sharp is G, and they've already written that in for you. So let's, and then I'll leave you to do that. And then in question 3, circle the next to last flat. Okay, so the first one, well, we don't have a next to last, we've just got a last, so we just know that the tonic is F. Here, the next to last is the B flat there. Okay, and then the letter name of this flat is actually the tonic of the key, just like, which is the starting note for the scale that we want to start using that key signature. So again, the flat keys, the second last flat is the starting note for a major scale. So here, second last flat is E flat, therefore that's an E flat major scale. Next year we'll talk about minors. It's not that hard, but it's just a bit different. Whereas the sharps, the last sharp, a semitone up, for example here, the last sharp is G sharp, so the A is the tonic, or the start of the major scale that has 3 sharps. So on the next page you can check to see if you're right. It's got all the scale names of the major keys here. So, for example, here, if you start on A and you use F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, what you play will sound like a major scale. And if you check, for example, here, the last sharp is A sharp, a semitone higher than that is B, and there it is, B. Moving down to the flats, we just have to know that the scale of one flat is F because there's no two flats to get the tonic note. Tonic is the first note of the scale. In B flat, the second last flat is B flat, so the tonic is B flat. Go along to here, we take the second to last flat, which is G flat, and the tonic of the scale is G flat. And here it is written out for you just after you've already done it, but anyway, here's a nice reminder. Find the last written sharp of the key signature, go up a half step or a semitone. That note is the same as the key, it's the tonic. And then the flat key signatures, the next to last flat is the name of the key signature, presuming you get the flats in the right order, of course, which is another reason why we should make sure that we keep the flats in the correct order and the correct shape. If we have a different kind of shape, then it makes it hard for an experienced player to recognize the key signature easily. Having seen lots of key signatures, I almost look just at the shape, and I know, for example, that this one here is very even shaped. It's got to be E. I just automatically know that. So we'll just write E in there, and there you go. It's done one already. Okay, so I'll leave you to do the rest of them. And here you have to write 3 sharps, 5 sharps, 4 sharps, and so on. Just this is the revision page. And then name the key afterwards. So the key for 5 sharps, you do the 5 sharps, and then you go semitone up from the last sharp, and that's your tonic or first note of the scale. Same with flats. If you go 6 flats, the second to last flat will be the tonic or the first note of the scale. And now some revision from before, and that is grand staves. I'll just go through that with you now. So how do we find, for example, I'll do one all by myself. I'll do a really big one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ledger lines. Okay, now if you want to start from just the note that you have to know, which is G, because that's a G there, and we know that on that line is the note G, we just go up by the alphabet to get to the high notes and backwards by the alphabet to get to the low notes. Alright, so we could go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, but we sort of already know that line's F because we know every good boy deserves fruit. Anyway, keeping on going, there's F, then G, then A, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F, then G, then A, and then B. So that note up there is a B. Working backwards in the alphabet, a bit harder, but with practice, it's easy. F backwards, from G backwards is F, then E, but we already know E, but either way. Then we go D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, and that note there is a C. Alright, I'll leave you to do all the rest of them, and that's how you do it. After a while you get used to it and you just know what that note is. A D. Write sharps in the correct order in each measure. I think they're talking about all 7 sharps and all 7 flats, just more and more practice. Identifying the following key signatures, remember, second last flat, semitone above the last sharp. Write in the key signatures and then name the tonic at the bottom. And that's it for that page. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next lesson.